Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, today I'm Madani. I'm the moderator for tonight discussion or presentation, and I'm Madani as the second speaker. We are from the 11th group of philosophy of science. We are the first students in postgraduate program in English education. I will introduce you to the members of the 11th group. The first one is me, Madani, and the second one is Porn Chenla. The third one is Ritanti Lasmita. For the first speaker is Porn Chenla. Porn Chenla will be the first speaker and explain about our topic today. Porn Chenla, time is yours.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Jinla. I'm responsible to the explanation point. Okay, part A. So the first one, I want to focus on explanation. What is explanation? Explanation is meant to explain why things happen the way they do. And many scientists and philosophers believe that scientific theory should not only describe the world as it is, but should also explain why it is that way. Okay, let's check out the following explanations. 1. The glass door is broken as the result of being hit by a stone. 2. The gas pressure increased because the volume remained stable while the temperature increased. 3. They are not picking up the phone because they need to get some work done. Okay, now the first is a simple casual explanation. The second rely on the gas law, which links temperature, pressure, and volume. And the third is psychological explanation. To describe a phenomenon, causal explanation assign the structure of cause and effect to event. Explanation in terms of law, also known as nomic explanation, work by demonstrating that the event had to occur given the state of nature laws. Psychological explanation function by drawing on our prior knowledge of how people behavior is linked to their desire and belief. According to this, there are other kinds of explanation. The first one, his aggressiveness comes from a repressed occipital complex. It's psychoanalytical. 2. Giraffes have long necks, so they can reach the leaf of tall tree for food, which is adaptation to the surrounding. It is evolutionary. 3. The rise to the power of the Nazi happened because of Germany humiliation by the other European powers in the negotiation for the treaty at Versailles. It is historical. 4. The handle of the spoon is curved to fit comfortably in the hand. It is functional. 5. She is adaptive because her zodiac sign is Pisces, which is a water sign. It is about astrological explanation. Number 6, he died young because it is God's will. It's theoretical. Number 7, the stone fell to the earth because its natural place is at the corner of the universe. It's teleological or Aristotelian. 8, the rise of the capitalism was an inevitable result of the instability in the organization of production is 18th century Europe. It is Marxist explanation. However, I will continue to the another part is about the covering law model of explanation. It is commonly assumed that scientists explain events we experience by uncovering the natural rules that govern this phenomena. According to Hampel, one of the most significant conceptions of scientific explanation is to illustrate how phenomena, occurrence, or fact may be understood to follow from a law or collection of laws, coupled with a specification of initial conditions. When discussing explanation, philosophers refer to whatever is being explained as the explanandum, and explanant is the one who explains everything. Okay, let's go to the next part. It's about the deductive nomological model. According to this explanation model, the DN model, the explanandum must be derived from a natural law or laws, as well as background facts and initial conditions. The term nomological means relating to natural law, and this is a rule in this law. Okay, where an, and p are natural numbers, laws, and initial conditions, and the explanandum is a series of p observations. The following logical conditions are imposed on explanation by the DN model. 1. The explanant must deductive entail the explanandum. 2. The deduction must make essential use of general laws. Number 3, the explanant must have empirical content. 4, the sentences in the explanant must be true. Okay, let's go to the next part. Is about the problems with the covering law account. Okay, there are problems too. The majority of the objections to the covering law model of explanation are intended to demonstrate that Humpe's conditions are not significant. In other words, an argument can satisfy all of them while still failing to qualify as a scientific explanation. Some argue that the conditions aren't even necessary, that a proper scientific explanation doesn't have to satisfy them all. Some of the following objections overlap, but it is helpful to treat them separately. Okay, first one is about irrelevant. For example, every mental conducts electricity. Anything that conducts electricity is subject to gravity. As a result, all mental are affected by gravity. Okay, in this example, show that it is irrelevant to each other because we cannot assume that the fact that mental conduct electricity have nothing to do with being subject to gravity. So it is not irrelevant. It is irrelevant. The next one is preemption. Preemption occurs when an event that was expected to occur for one reason occurs earlier for another. Okay, look at the example. Anyone who consumes 1 pound of arsenic will die within 24 hours. B. Merge took a pound of arsenic. So Merge died within 24 hours as a result. So in this example, show that A is appeared to be a law, but imagine that even if B is correct and Merge died in need within 24 hours, she was killed by a bus. Despite the fact that all of the elements of the DN model are met, but the law does not explain how she died. So continue to the next problem is about the overdetermination. When more than one set of causal conditions exists, yet each of them is significant to bring about an event, it is said to be overdetermined. For example, if someone gets shot in the head while also being electrocuted, their death is overdetermined. Take a look at the following example. Everyone does not have sex, does not become pregnant. Nick, a man, did not have sex. As a result, Nick did not become pregnant. So in this example, Nick's inability to have a child is overdetermined by the fact that he lacks sex and is a male. His inability to conceive is not explained by his lack of sex. Therefore, This acumen meets the requirement of the DN model, but it is over-determined. Okay, many scientific laws are called existent laws, which limit what possibility can be relied at the same time. Take a look at the following example. A gas is sealed in a fixed volume container and repeatedly heated. If a gas volume remains consistent, its temperature is precisely proportional to its pressure. As a result, the pressure of the gas increases. This appeared to be a sufficient explanation, but we could just as easily reverse to explanatory order and still meet the DN model. Okay, when a gas is sealed in its fixed volume container, its pressure rises. If a gas volume remains consistent, its temperature is precisely proportional to its pressure. As a result, the temperature of the gas increased. This appeared to be a significant explanation, but we could just easily reverse to explanatory order and still meet the DN model. Okay, let's go to next part. It's about prediction and explanation. Hamper promotes the thesis of structural identity, which held that explanation and prediction use the same structure. They are arguments in which the premises describe natural laws and initial conditions. The only difference is that in the case of an explanation, we could already notice that the argument's condition is correct, whereas in the case of forecast, the condition is uncertain. And the next point is about the inductive statistical model. When it comes to applying statistical of probabilistic rules to describe phenomena, the DN model of explanation is useless. Probabilistic laws may be all that is accessible in the social science. In the circumstance of probabilistic explanation, harmful inductive statistical IS model assume that the law with auxiliary condition make the explanation very likely. Look at this law. Okay. However, a number of counterexamples to this model have been discovered in which the probabilistic cause of some phenomenon just give it a low possibility of occurrence. For example, there is a disease called paresis that can only be transmitted by people who already have syphilis, although the chances of getting it are still low among the syphilis patients. As a result, while having syphilis is one reason for someone developing paresis, this explanation will not meet the IS model, and hence the latter cannot be a necessary constraint on probabilistic explanation. Okay, now that's all of my points. Let's go to my friend's point. Madani.
Yeah, Chandla, thank you so much for the explanation about the explanation. So I will continue the explanation about inference to the best explanation. So Gilbert Herman introduced the term of inference to the best explanation in an article of that name in the Philosophical Review in 1965. But it is sometimes also known as abduction, following the terminology of Charles Peirce, 1839 until 1914. It certainly seems that in everyday life, when faced with a range of hypotheses that all account for some phenomenon, we usually adopt the one that best explains it. Okay, next. Okay. For example, you ring your friend's doorbell and there is no answer. The following hypotheses all predict this. First, your friend has become paranoid and thinks that enemy agents are ringing the bell. Second, your friend has suddenly gone deaf. Third, Your friend has been pretending to live there, but in fact, life lives somewhere else. Fourth, your friend is out. Normally, we will infer 4 was correct because it offers a simple explanation of the data that coheres without other beliefs. So, for the 4 hypothesis in our mind, we will think that our friend is out, not because she is become paranoid or suddenly gone deaf or pretending life there, but there's nothing, nobody live there. Okay. The next is to make a good explanation and how a host of different features contribute to the attribution of explanatory success to a theory, including some of the following things. 1. Otherwise, surprising phenomena are to be expected if the hypothesis is true. Second, predictions of empirical consequences must be inferred from the hypothesis and test and confirm. 3. Simple and natural hypotheses are to be favored. 4. Hypotheses that cohere with metaphysical views are to be favored. 5. Unifying power and wideness of scope of the hypothesis are to be favored. 6. Hypotheses that cohere with other scientific theories are to be favored. Okay. There are 2 ways in which inference to the best explanation is used to argue for scientific realism. The first one is the local defense of scientific realism. The second one is the global defense of realism. Okay. We can know that none of the other possible explanation we have not considered is as good as the best that we have, unless we know that we have included the best explanation in our set of rival hypotheses, even if it were the case that the best explanation is true. This would not make IBE an acceptable rule of inference. Okay, selective skepticism. Realists argue that any anti-realist who is not on outright skeptics will need to use some criteria to distinguish their preferred theories from those that are empirically equivalent to them. The point is that there are indefinitely many empirical distinct theories that agree about what has been observed so far. So I think that's all from me. We continue to the third speaker, Mbak Riktanti, time's yours. Thank you.
Thank you for moderator. Thank you for time. I will continue explanation about the materials. The first is common sense. Common sense is something basic that may be served by who possess different practical skill, and indeed by those who lack practical skill. Not is common sense the same thing as the deeply held belief. Some common sense beliefs may be deeply held, but there are many deeply held beliefs that be common sense. Through history, people have been deeply commented to a great variety of beliefs that's the common sense. Next slide. And then the second is realisms. Philosophical realism is enjoying a revival according to some of it is contemporary versions. The word constants in just what the ordinary view of the world assumes. Will the uncertain estimates first alleged by scientific theories are nothing more than factions. And then the slide. the complication of the issue of realisms is also due to other reasons. The first is that one can be committed to realisms in many different forms. Fortunately, however, that form of realism can be grouped in the remaining main families. The first, ontological realisms. The view of this family are based on the thesis that things of certain sorts be they content of abstract, such as numbers, riches, and electrons of the social page. And the second one is semantic realisms. According to view of this family, the meanings this record the reality of the editors which the term of the sentence refer. And the last, epistemological realisms. According to the view of this family, there may be facts that are invincible knowledge, such as whereas epistemology and realism they these principles. The next slide, please. The two most general versions of realism involved today, namely, the first common sign realisms, do view that knowledge as real, only the thing we can experience or deeply through interpretations, or which the sense or indirectly which the instrument that exceeds the sense. The second, scientific realisms, the view that claim that the words concern only the entities and bars observable and unobservable that are in the principle described in science. Please, next slide. Okay, the last constructive empiricism. For constructive empiricism, the aim of the science is to arrive at the theories which are empirically adduced, and science accepts theories as empirically adduced. The theory is empirically adduced if all of these observations, consensus are true. The theory strongly makes claim which purports to refer to unobservable entities and such as atoms and electrons. Constructive emphasis is a first example of a negative reasons to the question of the relations between science and reality. I think that's all for my thank you for time. Back to moderator.
Okay, thank you so much, Mbak Ritanti Lesmita, for the explanation. So, all of us is already explained about the topic today, explanation and inference. We will say thank you so much for everyone. There is our task for philosophy of science. So, we say sorry if we make a mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. Have a good day.